Welcome you all for Pooja Sir. Today's filmmaker is one of my favorites. We screened his film in 2017 called White Sun. Is there anybody in the audience who was here for the second Indie Meme Film Festival in 2017 and saw the movie? Yes! Awesome. So at that point, Deepak Rauniyar, Deepak, come join me. Let's have a round of applause for Deepak. Deepak joined us on Skype, and we were at the Arbor Cinema, which doesn't exist anymore right now. And we had just the best Q&A with him, and I think what struck about that film was that how many layers it had, how nuanced it was, and how beautifully you wove in so many different things in
Thank you.
wonderful story. And I think Pooja says a lot like that. You say a lot. So would you like to set up the film?
Maybe like it's good not to say anything. And just a brief, like it's set in Nepal in 2015, so around like 10 years ago now. In the back, it's not a period film, but in very current. But it's set in the backdrop of massive protests by dark-skinned Malays. Like Nepal also has light-skinned and dark-skinned, we call Pahari and Madesi. So two different skin color matters. You all know, like India is one of our neighborhood. South Asia is one of the biggest industry for the skin creams, where we respect fairer one. We help people get brighter or lighter.
Yeah.
So it's fun in the backdrop of that. It's backdrop of the 2015 protest. Nepal went through aggressive, I was born during a dictatorship, a system called Panchayat. Soon I got to see the revolution in 1990 where democracy was reinstated. A few years after civil war started. And then, again, the dictatorship came, royal massacre happened, whole Nepali royal family were killed. So I saw a lot during this time, but our cinema was not reflecting any of this. So my three films has been a period of after civil war. It's connected to each other. This is one of the last in that series. That reflects the post-war society in our country and try to reflect on the identity, home, caste, gender. I have a lot to say, so I packed a lot. So don't get bored about that.
Oh, you won't get bored. Don't say that. You love it. Also joining Deepak at Indie Meme this year is Asha Magrati. Asha is co-writer on the film, and she also plays the lead in the film. She's
She's a producer,
producer as well, yes. So we have a Q&A with Asha and Deepak, conducted by Chale. So let's have a round of applause for Asha.
And our executive producer, Anurag Kashyap, is also here, but I don't know if you can make it to the Q&A, but he's in town.
Yes. Anurag Kashyap, who we all met last night, is executive producer on Pooja Sir. So with that, let's start the movie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I always like to start even before the film itself. Deepak, you worked for the British Broadcasting Corporation in Nepal, radio and some film. Can you just talk a bit about that experience?
For me, I was born in a village that has no cinema, and so first time I went to cinema was I was 13 years old, and I didn't I was someone me was not, there was nobody to imagine that I can become a filmmaker one day. But because I didn't get to watch a lot of films during the childhood, when I came to college I was watching a lot of films. But the only thing accessible for us was Bollywood, our homegrown film, where it was hard for me to find myself in the film. And it was society, I was born into dictatorship, and a lot happened in our society as I was growing up, from civil war to people's revolution. And that was not being reflected in cinemas, and they would play us in a way, they would blackface us to play on the screen. That was very heartening. So I was got interested, that negative space where I started to get interested in cinema. But for me, to think about that I could become a filmmaker someday was not a way, and there was no film school, and I could not come abroad to study. So the only thing left for me was to do print journalism. I work on radio, I work on TV, I work on print. Wanted to get to know the filmmakers, get to go to their homes, steal their books. That was my long journey, and then BBC came in 2007, and they wanted a producer, writer-producer. And I applied, and luckily got, and that became a university for me in a way, like 3.5 years of practicing, writing, producing, working with actors.
And Asha, was becoming an actress a dream from childhood, or how did you go about that?
My case is a little different. I grew up inside of the British camp. My father was ex-British Army, so I grew up inside the camp. So so I got a chance to watch a lot of movie, Bollywood movie and English Hollywood movie, and yeah, that was my inspiration to do the acting. So I used to watch a lot of movie, and I not caricature, but I used to do acting at home, basically in the bathroom when I take a shower. Yeah, because outside it was not allowed because our parents, they didn't understand what is the acting and what is the art, because they were not really good educated. So whatever I was doing inside the bathroom or where there was not people. But the interesting thing was I was really shy person. I was really shy person. So when I used to go to school, from house to school, I was like bending down. I couldn't dare to look people's face and eyes, but I had something big desire, the interest to do dance and acting, and one day I got that chance. One of my friend invited me to do the theater acting. I'm acting on the performance, and I said okay, because I was waiting that moment. But all of my friends, they were laughing to me. You and acting, and but I did, and after that I continued my acting journey.
I hope all of those friends have seen all of your movies and left crying and lamenting what they said to you. So, a movie Karma. You were assistant director on that, and you were acting in it. And so that's where you first met?
Yes.
And within 12 months or less, you married?
Not really 12 months.
Well, 13 months. Yeah. 2007, you got married.
Well, 2006, 2007, 6 we got together. We started to live together, yeah.
Okay, great. You've been in all of his films. You've been in 3 features and 3 shorts. Is that right? Yeah. And you've co-written 2 shorts and then this film with him now. What is it like for a husband and wife to write a script together? Are there arguments?
They are.
Good. Tell us about writing this script.
For us, as I said, both of us were outside of the film industry. When I met her first time, she had done major plays as a lead actor, and she had worked on some of the films as well. But there was not a single portrait written about her. Not a single article in the newspaper. Because the film industry learns from Bollywood, and the whole idea about big eyes, big nose, fair skin, the whole look about the beauty standard was the heroine that supposed to be in the industry. So someone like her is still today in the Nepali film industry cannot be the lead actor, cannot be that heroine of the film. So for us, when we met, doing a small role in the film, and for me, was the only way of learning was assisting someone and working on the project. That's what we connected us in some way. And we started, like, we did, I think, she worked in a play, she was directing a play at that time. I was a civil journalist and working at home part-time. So we started a company together in 2008. And we started to make films while I was working at ABC. We started to make films on the side. That was a desire, like, I think, for us, was not only the film itself, but what goes behind the film. Like, I think, selecting the character that we wanted to see on the screen, or like choosing actors from the ethnicity or gender the character itself comes from, and like allowing people from outside the world, not only grooming people who already had access to film industry. So that was our reason, the way we started in, writing the first short film that we wrote together was partly about my life, how I grew up, like how my sister-in-law was impacted by my sister-in-law's story, and she brought her story together. That was the threshold first short film that we wrote together. I directed, she acted in it. So for us, like, working is like is still very part of life. So we really have to separate that.
Right. So 2002, you had the script ready. You had the financing in place and all, and then a very tragic thing happened to you, the diagnosis of cancer. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but other than it put everything on hold.
Yeah, I think Deepak tells very good story.
I think with this film, like, we went a long journey because we were supposed to shoot in 2020. We were fully financed. We had an investor who was Ukrainian American theater owner. It was very expensive film, as you saw, and we were really fascinated about the protest. But hundreds of thousands of people were in the street, and we wanted to recreate that moment to bring on the screen, document it in some way. But COVID happened, and there was nowhere to shoot, and there was postponed, and we lost all the financing. And then in 2022, we gathered again. The Mamata that we saw today, Tanisa Satrizi, an actress, she was going to play that role. We had my DP, and some our crew was very international. We were all coming to the Nepal, and we were in the whole summer in Nepal, had prepared pre-production. But I was teaching at UNC, it was Lincoln at that time, and we're coming back to pick up the equipment. That's where the diagnosis, like, I think something happened and we had to go to ER, and it became a different life. And because of that, like, we had to focus on the treatment. And we lost the financing again. And the grants were taken away, industry disappeared. And so 2023, in April, when we were finishing the treatment, for us, we didn't want to go back home and reflect on what the hell the year had been. So we wanted to go shoot. And we didn't have money. But that, in some way, like, we found the courage to go back Nepal and still without money and thinking about shooting it. But that's what maybe, like, this film is different. It's very personal, and also became a product of a lot of people's love and involvement. A lot of community came together to support this.
Right. Just to clarify, you were teaching in North Carolina for a while.
Yes, at that time.
And then you went to New York for the treatments and all. And is New York?
No, we were coming back from Nepal. Had been like 36 hours, and her throat was swollen. And for us, like, we were South Asians growing up, like, we're half doctor anyway. So we're thinking about, she was too confident that I think it's just a reflux affecting it, and that we didn't want to go to hospital. But we have a family friend, is a registered nurse. And we, playmate couple, we were going to be for 3 nights in upstate New York, and we had a market in Montreal that we were attending. So we had all this planned. But I called this friend, and he tells us, like, this cannot be reflux. You have to go to ER now. And that's when everything changed.
The original title of Pooja Sir was The Sky Is Mine, which connects to the film we just saw before. It's related to a poem by Iranian film director Kiarostami, I think. Interesting title, The Sky Is Mine. But I think Pooja Sir is a far better title because it contains the gender issue of your character wanting to identify as male within that male-dominated society of the police force and all. But why did you decide to change the title? You didn't know that I was going to like it.
We kind of sense that. We had a sense of that. So I think when we editing process, we kept screening the film for people, and they were quite wondering about what the sky meant. For us, it was clear because it was about claiming the sky, like saying that this is our sky as well. But it was not translating that way to our audience. And so rather than letting audience to just think about and roam around and forget about the story, we needed a straightforward title that would like situate them there. And one of our producers suggested, why don't you call it Pooja Sir, which is very much about the film. And we agreed with that.
Coming back to you to get personal, so just tell me to go away and stop asking you questions. But I read in one of the interviews that your brother died when he was 24, and your mother started complaining that now there would not be a son to bury her, to take care of her cremation and all that. And you had to stand up and explain to her that you were perfectly capable of taking that yourself. And in one article, it indicated that you began acting somewhat more masculine within the family, or is that true? What is that about?
Yes, that was true. Yeah, after my brother died, my mom used to cry almost every day. I don't have son now. Who is going to criminate? Who is going to do all those ritual things? And my brother had two daughters. One was 1.5 years old, and one was 3 months old. And I decided to myself. I didn't tell my mother, but I decided myself. I'm going to be your son. I'm going to do all those ritual things, and I'm going to take care of those two kids. I decided, and then and I asked those two kids, call me uncle. Yeah. So that word gave me a little bit strength. You know, still our society is patriarchy society. So at the time I was also kids, not kids, but young, very young. So I thought, if my mom is asking the son, so why don't they call me uncle? So, and later when my mom died, I did all the culminations. I had to fight with the society. They were not allowing me to do that. But my father, he allowed me. Okay, if she wants to do, let her to do, because that's her mother. So, and then I did I saved all my hair and eyebrows and put the white clothes and all the 13 days rituals I did. And yes, and yeah, you can see in the movie also the father always willing to the son. So that's why this came in this story.
Very good. And interestingly, it ties in with your previous feature of White Sun, which is about the two brothers participating with the cremation of their father and all, which is also a beautiful film, no doubt. And it's available on Amazon Prime, so please watch it. Going into the actual production of the film, were there interesting or exasperating problems, or did it go smoothly? Were there protests against your recreating the protests?
One thing good about is like when you born into dictatorship and grow up with that around it, you know how to navigate that society. So for us, like we could not have given this script to police because the Nepal police censored the script, and we need to get the permission before you can put a uniform. You cannot rent the equipment outside, so you have to rent from them. So I had to find a way to like get the permission itself and like work extra to build a relationship with local police department and officers bringing their equipment and them. So we were prepared like how to handle that already. So we did not have to face that kind of obstacles there, but anxiety was always there because we were shooting on real location. Like even the last scene that you saw, where we were filming this, since he's getting ready to go on, I think we were starting, and the senior of the whole head of the district of that area, the senior superintendent, walks in with his wife and sits down to watch the shoot. And I said, "Sir, what do we do now? Can we continue shooting it?" And like I think, and we continue some way, and she's very nervous about like saying all these dialogues and walking up the set, and we didn't know like how he's going to react. But that anxiety was throughout the show, and we found a way to manage it, found a way to build a relationship with the police. And you see, whatever we saw the policemen in the office in the film, besides our main actor, all of them are real police officers. Real equipment, real gun, real everything.
First time I could toss the real gun at the time. They allow me to toss that, but without bullet. Yeah, it was really happy.
In many ways, of course, it's a police procedural. We're watching how police solve a crime and all. But you all had a much higher mission with the film, and you accomplished it, bringing up the subject of race and gender. And why? Why is that your mission?
So, like, I think as you saw, like you're talking about White Sun, and if you see Highway as well, that's been always our mission. That's where we came to make a film. We were just like, with this one, we were just like, every film we had tried something different. And with this one, we're just trying to experiment. Can we do something in genre platform? Because making an angry film, and if nobody watches it, it doesn't show anything. Our whole interest was like, how can we make more accessible to people? Maybe like it was guessed that maybe genre would help. But also in this place, it really helped situate the story because the story was inspired by us because it comes from the Pahari community, I come from the Madhesi community. And seeing the protests and seeing people being died, for us, we felt like this is the time for us to do something about it, find a bridge between this community, build understanding of the community. And the story was inspired by our marriage because I think it's more of like us coming into my life, my world, and experiencing like how I was living as a Madhesi, growing up in that society. So we took that inspiration and wanted to bring Pooja to this new town where the protest was happening. And we wanted to film the protest in the backdrop. But so we took this procedural as like a tool to tell this story, because it also allowed outsider to come and experience society, go beyond comfort zone into society, experience the society itself and how she can be sensitized, how she can sense, though the system is too big than her. But one person at a time, we may have an impact on it, like the way for Asha being with me was a different learning experience. Like for her, like I think herself, being a woman, going in a very particular society, being not a high caste in the even Pahari community, she was already suffering a lot as growing up. But since we were together, the simple events like going to restaurant and restaurant would tell him that they don't want to serve us. Just because I'm there or my sister is there. Or like we are driving and like she used to drive a bike and I would sit on her back of bike. I was used to work on BBC and we were multiple times stopped by police just because I was carrying a laptop. They wanted to know where I brought that laptop from. If I had a receipt that I could prove that laptop was mine. And so for me, like I was growing up with that, I was used to of it. For her, she was not used to. She started to argue, she used to fight about it. And that's where this seed of this story came from.
I'll turn it over to the audience. After one thing, I've read that you're considering making a horror film in New York. I want to make one suggestion. You change the setting to Washington, D.C. All right, questions from the audience. Just stand up and scream, please.
Hello, I thought the movie was phenomenal. The direction, the casting. I love that you used your own experiences in the film. I'm really curious, like, as far as the protest and the real life inspiration, what was really important to you to preserve about what actually happened and what was like the main elements of creative liberty?
When the protest was happening, we were also not living in the Bangladesh itself. And the media, the way media portrayed it, like the company media never went even like bother to go to watch the protest more closely. In 2015, the country was closed almost a year, and there's not a single iconic pictures from that time because journalists or photographers did not really take an interest in that. But several people died, and for us we were truly curious about like who are these people who were in the street. Though it's very portrayed in Kathmandu in a way that is India with manipulating, or like this is from outside, this is not the local, this is not the current political party. For us, like as an artist, we were very curious about what was really happening. And when we came to the ground, we started to meet people, interview the victims' parents, others together. That the story came in. One of the stories that really resonated well was the story of something like Saraswati, where it's very, at least in paper, it's very beautiful the way all the school runs in Nepal. Like you get the elected body of parents who decides everything, who governs the school, should govern the school, but most of this doesn't happen it. And that was happening for Saraswati. And once we knew Saraswati's story, we felt like that is the seed. If we understand Saraswati, what she had to suffer to just ask for a single election, we would understand why these hundreds of thousands of people are in the street. And so we invested whole idea about building the relations between Pooja and Saraswati. Pooja getting to come to that town and learning about Saraswati became important to us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My question to you is about your casting. Besides Asha, of course, you used Daya for all of your films so far. But Nikita Chandak, what made you choose her? She's a glass queen, but also what was your casting in terms of the other actors besides Asha?
So Nikita particularly was last minute decision. We did have been selecting actor for a long time. Like I said, we were very committed about bringing from the community itself, but we were also interested in expanding the collaboration. So we had originally cast Tanisha Chatterjee for that role, but because we did not shoot in 2022, her schedule changed, and when we were going to shoot, was not going to work with her. And so at that point, we decided, look, there was not a lot of options in Nepal. But when we met Nikita, because we were, I think, particularly scared because of modeling, all the background that being among the characters we have. But once we met and once we did improvise with her, we were really moved by what she could do. And she was very open about learning and other things and very hardworking. That gave us the courage to work on that. Beyond that, I think we spent a lot of time during, even from the writing process, looking at actors. We were very scared about finding a Saraswati. But we were glad once we auditioned Arati, had never acted before. She's a journalist, a radio RJ, runs a program. So she was shy about even acting, doing that role. But once we met her and had an audition, we both were very convinced about, I think she could be the Saraswati. That gave us a confidence. But we have very wide casting from all around the country that we're looking for. Besides the actors, some of the actors that we have already worked. And when we're writing, we knew that this character could be them.
Yeah, there is other things also why we chose the Nikita, because when she got
When she was became a Miss
Yeah,
Nepal,
Miss Nepal, yeah.
she was discriminated because of that her skin color. Like she was treated like as in that Indian coming to like taking over the title of Nepali, and having that conversation with her felt that she would understand.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly like our Mamta character. So we thought she had that kinds of feelings inside to say, so she can take it out her expressions through the acting. So that's why we choose her.
First of all, very brilliant, beautiful film. I have so many questions, but if I could just get down to one, that would be I'm not very familiar with Nepal's politics beyond what was shown in the film. So could you at least tell me what was your intention with like some of the tigers? Because I see some references, like even in the poster, there's like a tiger mask, and then the great grandfather or something was called Tiger.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, maybe far-fetched, right? Was that anything?
The reference for tiger in the film, like I think about the grandfather, is from the real reference. Probably is not we're referencing in the. You couldn't take the name, but we're referencing someone who's a real person.
Oh.
And so this inspiration coming from there. When we're looking for mask, like we're thinking about what she can wear. Like how would she wear and come to that protest? Like, one practical reason is she wants to cover her skin. But among the seas animals that would choose, what would Pooja choose? And we felt tiger would be the right thing for her to like choose at that moment. There was not so much deep thinking about it.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.